I was currently at the home of the most popular girl on campus. I was there to tutor her younger brother. Right then, my online girlfriend sent me a text. "Baby, my mom just hired a tutor for my little brother. And you will not believe this, but the guy is actually in my class. He's beyond annoying." This felt like too much of a coincidence. It seemed almost impossible. I looked up at Sarah, who was sitting right across from me. She was staring down at her phone, her thumbs flying across the screen. I started to feel a bit suspicious. "That guy is such a jerk," the text continued. "I really can't stand him." Sarah didn't look up. She remained completely focused on her phone, typing away with intensity. I was too stunned to reply immediately. There was no way it could be this specific, even though I had used the nearby feature on the app to find her. That was how I met my online girlfriend in the first place. "Morrison, can you please focus on my brother?" Sarah snapped. "Stop staring at your phone." Sarah had caught me distracted. She was clearly annoyed that I was slacking off during the session. "Fine, you were right, my bad." I reluctantly set my phone on the table. She immediately went back to her own device. A second later, my phone started vibrating like crazy. It was ridiculous that she told me to stop using my phone while she was blowing mine up. I looked up and met her gaze, which was filled with visible impatience. I quietly switched my phone to silent mode. Fortunately, she did not notice anything out of the ordinary. I was still struggling to process the situation. The girl I had been talking to online for months was actually her. She was Sarah, the most popular girl at Ashton University. Sarah was lounging in a short silk slip dress. Her expression was pure irritation. She looked like she couldn't stand the sight of me. Despite her attitude, her looks were undeniably perfect. Her long, pale legs were crossed elegantly under the desk. My eyes were practically glued to her. The scent of her expensive perfume filled the air. It felt like it was wiping away every academic thought I had left. My mind went completely blank. I nearly forgot how to solve the math problems I was supposed to be teaching. "Morrison, did I get this one right?" Leo asked. Leo excitedly pushed his workbook toward me. I took a quick look at his work. He had actually done a great job. He followed the exact steps I had just shown him. The kid was sharp. Once I demonstrated a single example, he picked it up immediately. He was able to apply the logic to every other problem in the set. He understood the concept perfectly. I nodded in approval and gave him a compliment. "You are a fast learner." "That was excellent. Is there anything else you're struggling with?" I glanced at the clock on the wall. I suddenly realized I had already stayed an hour past our scheduled time. Since this was just a trial session, I probably wouldn't even get paid for the extra hour. Thinking about the lost wages made me feel a bit frustrated. Leo was definitely bright. He likely just didn't pay attention in his regular classes. That was probably why he needed such intensive private tutoring now. "I'm all set." "Thanks, Morrison. You are a great teacher." Suddenly, the door swung open. Sarah's mother, Mrs. Anderson, walked in with a graceful smile. I had to admit that she was a stunning woman. It made sense, given how beautiful her daughter was. "Leo, how did the lesson with Morrison go?" she asked. "Did you understand the material?" "Yeah, I totally get it now." "Morrison is an awesome teacher," Leo replied. "He is really patient and explains things so well. Plus, he is actually pretty cool. I think we definitely need to keep him as my tutor." Leo nodded emphatically. He wouldn't stop raving about me. I tried to keep a straight face, but I was beaming with pride on the inside. I couldn't resist. I stole a quick glance at Sarah to see her reaction. Her expression was the complete opposite of Leo's enthusiasm. Sarah's face darkened with every word her brother said. She was gripping her iPhone 15 Pro Max so tightly it looked like the screen might shatter. "Well then," Mrs. Anderson said, "I have never seen you this happy with a tutor before. Let's have Morrison come back to help you from now on." Leo nearly jumped for joy. Mrs. Anderson seemed like a very kind person. She checked the time on her phone. "Morrison, it is getting quite late. Why don't you just stay the night here? You and Sarah go to the same university anyway. You could just head to campus together in the morning. It would be much easier for everyone." When I heard that, I froze. I instinctively shot a nervous look at Sarah. Our eyes met instantly. I quickly waved my hands to politely decline the offer. "Oh, no thank you, Mrs. Anderson. I actually need to head to the hospital to check on someone. Also, please just call me Morrison. There is no need for formalities." Mrs. Anderson looked a little disappointed. You are so responsible for someone your age, she noted. My Sarah, on the other hand, is always so moody. I glanced over at Sarah again. That was when I noticed something. Her silk slip had slid down a little at the neckline. I could catch a glimpse of her chest. My eyes widened involuntarily. Just as I was about to get a better look, she quickly yanked the fabric up. She completely blocked my view with her hand. I looked up and met Sarah's eyes once more. Her face, usually as pale and clear as a pearl, was now flushed with a mix of embarrassment and rage. It actually made her look even more breathtaking under the warm lights. I didn't dare to linger on her face for another second, though. I was terrified that if we were left alone, Sarah would literally tear me apart. I needed to get out of there as fast as possible. Mrs. Anderson had no idea that I had just accidentally infuriated her daughter. She was still smiling warmly at me. By the way, the General Hospital is quite a trek from this neighborhood. Why don't I have Sarah drive you there? She suggested. I tried to say no, but her mother was already pulling Sarah off the couch. Honey, did you hear me? She asked. Give Morrison a ride to the hospital right now. Do you have any idea how hard it is to find a tutor your brother actually likes? You need to be hospitable. With a look of pure reluctance, Sarah snatched her keys off the coffee table. The keychain featured a small, silver prancing horse. It was for a Ferrari, of course. Everyone at school knew the Andersons were incredibly wealthy. They owned one of the most expensive estates in the city. She drove a Ferrari to class every single day. Those two facts alone were enough to intimidate any guy who had a crush on her. I said my goodbyes to Mrs. Anderson. As soon as the front door clicked shut, a cold shiver ran down my spine. You are such a creep, she hissed. I can't believe you call yourself a teacher. I was actually going to apologize to her, but her harsh words immediately made me change my mind. How exactly am I a pervert? I asked, playing dumb. I put on my best innocent face and showed no remorse. You were staring at my legs the whole time, she snapped. Don't think I didn't see you. I even had to adjust my dress because of you. Sarah was significantly shorter than me. Because of the height difference, she lacked some intimidation when we argued. She couldn't quite maintain her tough persona while looking up at me. Suddenly, I felt a sudden urge to tease her. Was that so? I said. Well, I guess I should thank you then, Sarah. If you hadn't moved your hands so fast, I wouldn't have caught such a great view. Sarah froze for a moment, her face turning a deep shade of crimson before being overtaken by pure fury. Morrison, you are a total creep. There is no way I am letting you come back to tutor my brother. She looked like she was about to lung at me, but before she could move, the front door suddenly opened again. Mrs. Anderson stepped back out. It seemed like Sarah's shouting had brought her back to check on us. Sarah, why haven't you started the car yet? Morrison is in a rush to get to the hospital. Sarah's embarrassment and anger fused into a look so cold it could have frozen me in place. Just stay right there, she growled. I'm going to get the car from the garage. As I watched Sarah walk away, I felt like I owed her mother my life. She had literally saved me from a beatdown. Her mother's timing was impeccable. The moment Sarah was out of sight, I finally had a chance to check the text from my online girlfriend. The chat was still open from a few minutes ago. The last thing she sent was a cute and slightly suggestive sticker. I scrolled up through our recent conversation. Baby, why aren't you answering me? She had written. He is doing a terrible job teaching my brother, and I already told him off. I couldn't believe she was giving me a play-by-play of her day. I used to think it was sweet that she shared everything with me. Her little complaints used to be charming. But it was impossible to reconcile the girl on my screen with the real-life Sarah Anderson, who clearly hated my guts. A new notification popped up from her. Baby, when can we finally meet up? She asked. I promise I won't disappoint you. I wasn't sure what changed, but Sarah had been pushing to meet in person lately. Luckily, I had been making excuses to avoid it. If I had agreed, it would have been a total disaster. No way, I'm actually really ugly, I typed back. We shouldn't meet. Baby, you finally messaged me back. What were you doing just now? She replied instantly. She told me to wait for her while she got the car, but here she was, sitting in the garage on her phone. I was getting annoyed with her games. I was losing my patience and replied coldly. Some idiot just went off on me, I wrote. I'm pretty pissed off right now. As soon as I sent it, the typing bubbles appeared. Who the hell thinks they can talk to my baby like that? She sent back. I almost burst out laughing at that. I had never seen someone insult themselves so perfectly before. My mom is forcing me to give that classmate a ride. I'm not doing it. I'm just going to chill in the car for a while. He is such a creep. I know he's up to no good. I knew Sarah wasn't going to let this go easily. Why do you hate that guy so much? I asked. I was asking a question I already knew the answer to. It was obvious to everyone that Sarah had a problem with me. I was about 90% sure I knew why. Exactly as I thought. She replied that it was because he talked trash about her behind her back. She definitely still held a grudge about that incident. It happened back during the pandemic lockdowns. The campus was shut down for a long time. Every single class was moved to Zoom. That was the first time I had ever used the software. I just remembered looking at the microphone icon on the screen. Under the icon, it said unmute. There was a red slash across the microphone symbol. I couldn't tell if that meant I was currently muted or if I needed to click it to mute. I was totally confused. Right then, my roommate Ari sent me a voice memo. "Morrison, can you believe how hot Sarah Anderson is?" he said. "And she drives a Ferrari. I think I am in love. But some rich guy tried to ask her out the other day, and she shut him down instantly. I probably have zero chance with her then." I was about to tell him that he never had a shot in the first place. I ended up blurting out that he should look at her face. She is such an ice queen that staring at her for 2 seconds makes you feel like you need a winter coat. I don't see what the big deal is. She isn't that special. If you really like her, you are asking for trouble. You will probably end up in an abusive relationship. The professor stopped lecturing and cleared his throat. "Morrison, please stop talking in class," he said. "Please turn off your microphone." I was so embarrassed I wanted to disappear. Another friend texted me immediately. "Morrison, your mic was on the whole time. Everyone heard you." Ari sent another message saying he hated me. From that day on, both Ari and Sarah looked at me differently. Eventually, the campus lockdown was lifted. The story spread through the school like wildfire. Sometimes guys would even come to my classroom just to get a look at the guy who insulted the school's sweetheart. Her hardcore fans even tried to pick a fight with me. I ended up having to pay some people off to keep the peace. "Who is that guy anyway?" She texted me. "He must have a death wish for talking about Sarah like that." I replied that Sarah could probably ruin him just with her family's money. To be fair, the guy is actually pretty good looking. Look at his shirt. Is that the duck from the LV collaboration? I think it is, but it is probably a knockoff. Sarah never actually confronted me about the whole incident, though. She never acted like she cared at all. Before that day, we had never even spoken to each other. It was only now that I realized the truth. She had clearly been holding a grudge this entire time. It seemed like I held a special place in her mind. She would never guess that her online boyfriend was actually her rival. Her online boyfriend was actually her frenemy. I replied to her iMessage while opening Uber on my phone. The front door opened again, and Mrs. Anderson walked back out. She looked surprised to see me still standing there. "Morrison, are you still here?" she asked. "Where did Sarah go?" She looked around but couldn't see any sign of her daughter. After pissing Sarah off twice tonight, I didn't want to get in a car with her. I was honestly afraid she might drive us both off a cliff. "No thanks. I already called an Uber," I said quickly. "Don't be silly. I am having Sarah drive you." She pulled out her phone and put it to her ear. She smiled at me and stepped to the side. "Sarah, where are you?" she said into the phone. "Are you ignoring your mother now?" A minute later, she gave me a thumbs up. Shortly after, a red Ferrari pulled up to the curb. From the driver's seat, Sarah gave me a look that was absolutely freezing. "Get in the car," she commanded. Before I could even move, Mrs. Anderson rushed over. She reached through the window and grabbed Sarah by the ear. "You be nice to Morrison. It took forever to find a tutor your brother likes. He's a good kid, so be respectful. Don't you dare scare this one away, too." Sarah quickly rolled up the window. "Fine, Mom, I get it," she grumbled. As the window closed, I was hit by that faint, intoxicating scent of hers again. Her perfume was so nice, it almost made me drift off right there in the passenger seat. I really wanted to brag to Ari right then. I was sitting in the exact car he only ever talked about in his dreams. As we passed a local barbecue joint, I asked Sarah to pull over for a second. She gave me a look of pure disbelief. Her eyes were clearly asking if I was serious. As soon as I stepped out, my phone started buzzing. I didn't even have to look to know who it was. It was almost certainly a text from Sarah. I decided to give her a little taste of her own medicine and ignored it for a while. Looking back, I actually met Sarah through a mobile game. I was in the middle of a ranked promotion match at the time. I had the nearby players feature turned on. She was the only local player with a high enough rank to actually carry me to a win. I sent her an invite on a whim, not expecting much. To my surprise, she joined the lobby immediately. It was honestly pretty ridiculous when I thought about it. Sarah, the girl who ignored every guy in real life, was actually dating someone online. If Ari ever found out, he would lose his mind. He would probably die of a broken heart. I grabbed a few skewers of grilled lamb and hopped back into the Ferrari. I finally opened Sarah's latest text. "Baby, can we please meet up?" she had written. "I still haven't even seen what you look like." "If I look like that guy in your class, would you still like me?" I asked. She replied almost instantly. Ever since I realized my online girlfriend was Sarah, hearing her call me baby in a text felt incredibly surreal. I heard her phone chime with a notification. She just glanced at it, but didn't reply since she was busy driving. "We are here," she said, her voice like ice. It was hard to imagine her ever saying something sweet to me with that tone in person. It would be sweet, but also terrifying. "Thanks," I managed to mutter after a long silence. The moment I closed the door, she floored the gas and the Ferrari sped off with a roar. Man, she's cold, I thought. It took me forever to find my mother's hospital room. I had asked her multiple times if I could visit, but she always told me to stay away. She was staying in a private luxury suite. "Hey, Mom, how are you feeling?" I asked. Her expression changed the moment she saw me. She tried to get out of bed, to push me toward the door. "What are you doing here? Go away," she hissed. I just looked at her, completely baffled. "I know you only checked in here because of that doctor," I said. "Don't worry, I saw him heading downstairs." My mom finally relaxed. She slumped back into her pillows. "Fine, just don't let anyone know I have a son your age," she grumbled. "At least wait until I have him hooked." I gave her a weak laugh. "So, do you still want these lamb skewers or not?" I asked. "Leave the food and get out," she said. I didn't leave, though. I just sat down in the chair next to her bed. "Mom, let's just go home," I pleaded. "That house is way too big for just me." She didn't even look up. She was too busy eating the skewers. "Come on, I'm going crazy sitting in that house alone. That is the only reason I took a tutoring job." "It is your own fault for dressing so poorly," she replied. "I bought you all those designer clothes and bags, but you never even touched them. I have no idea how I ended up with a son like you." She wasn't budging at all. "I'm not leaving until I get that doctor," she declared. It is all about being in the right place at the right time. Just then, my phone lit up with a notification. It was an iMessage from Mrs. Anderson. The message said, "Morrison, dear, would you be able to come by in the afternoons and evenings to tutor Leo from now on? I will give you a significant raise for the extra time. You could just come over with Sarah after school. She can give you a ride." I argued with my mom for an hour, but she wouldn't change her mind. I eventually gave up and checked into a nearby hotel for the night. I cranked the AC up and crawled under the covers to text Sarah. For some reason, talking to her online always made me feel so much better. She was a completely different person online than she was in real life. Sarah was the absolute queen of double personalities. "If you actually look like that guy in my class, I might really have to rethink this whole thing," her last text read. It had been sitting there for 10 minutes. She was finally answering the question I had asked her earlier. I replied with a bunch of question marks. "I thought you said you would love me no matter what I looked like," I wrote. She took a while to respond this time. "No, that is where I draw the line," she said. "You cannot be anything like that creep. I would literally have nightmares if you were." I couldn't believe how much she hated me. All I ever did was call her an ice queen. It wasn't like I called her ugly or anything. I don't know why she was so stuck on this. "Hey, babe, why didn't you ask me to play games with you today?" she added. I got actual goosebumps seeing her call me that. I couldn't even imagine the real life Sarah saying something so affectionate. I didn't even want to think about the tone of voice she would use. "Babe, don't call me that," I replied. She immediately sent back a sticker of a sad little kitten. I couldn't help but wonder what was going on in her head. She was so cold in person, but online she was completely uninhibited. I decided to just answer her earlier question and ignore the nickname. "I'm going to be pretty busy for a while. I won't have time during the day, and even my nights are going to be packed. I was actually thinking that I shouldn't have stayed that extra hour for the tutoring session earlier. All right then, she finally agreed. We chatted about random things for a while, and before I knew it, it was almost midnight. I should get some sleep. Good night, babe, she wrote. Good night, I replied. I still couldn't bring myself to use a pet name. If Sarah ever found out the truth, she would probably kill me. My mom's Porsche was still parked in the hospital lot. I didn't have my license yet, so I was stuck taking Ubers to campus every day. The fares were starting to drain my bank account. As soon as I got out of the car, I saw Erie waving at me from the campus entrance. He ran over with a look of pure shock on his face. Whoa, Morrison, since when do you actually show up for 8 a.m. classes? He asked. Am I hallucinating right now? He dramatically rubbed his eyes. Just then, a loud roar erupted from behind us. That familiar red Ferrari pulled up to the curb like a growling beast. The sound of the engine made everyone jump. It wasn't surprising. Sarah always knew how to make an entrance. I looked around and felt like something was off. What is with the crowd today? I asked. Why are there so many people at the gate? Ari acted like it was the most obvious thing in the world. You didn't know, he said. Is Sarah's birthday today? Sean Miller said he was going to ask her out in front of everyone. The whole school is here to see the drama. I spotted Sean in the middle of the crowd. He was holding a cake that looked incredibly expensive. People were whispering all around us. The air was thick with gossip. You got here pretty early, too, I noted to Ari. I figured you came early just to watch the show. Ari snorted in response. Confession, my ass. Everyone is just here to watch him fail miserably. Nobody actually thinks she is going to say yes to him. Sean Miller was pretty well known on campus. I didn't really know much about him personally. I just knew his family had money and he loved to show it off. He was always decked out in designer labels. Word was he had connections with the school administration. But someone recently exposed him for wearing high-quality knockoffs instead of the real thing. Why wouldn't it work? I asked. He's a good-looking guy. Even from this distance, you can tell he stands out from the rest of the guys. He is tall and has sharp features. He definitely looks the part of a wealthy student. Ari patted me on the shoulder with a knowing look. You are so naive, he said. Tons of good-looking guys have tried to get with Sarah. Have you ever seen her say yes to any of them? Plus, Sean is a well-known jerk around here. There is no way Sarah would ever go for a guy like him. Sarah was still sitting in her car, refusing to step out. I wonder what she was waiting for. Maybe Sean actually had a chance this time. My curiosity was piqued. What makes him so unlikable? I asked. He's the type of guy who corners people in the bathrooms to start fights, Ari explained. You probably haven't seen that side of him. He thinks he is untouchable just because his family has a little money. He specifically targets students from regular backgrounds. He is basically a psycho. You really can't judge a book by its cover. He even announced his big plan in the school group chat. Does he honestly think she's going to say yes? I'm just here for the inevitable train wreck. Suddenly, my phone buzzed in my pocket. The caller ID said Mrs. Anderson. Hello, Mrs. Anderson. Is everything okay? I asked. Has Sarah found you on campus yet? She asked. I glanced over at the Ferrari parked nearby and shook my head. Not yet, I said. Well, just stay where you are. Morrison, she told me. A few moments later, Sarah opened the car door and stepped out. The butterfly doors swung upward, and she stepped out looking like an ice princess straight out of a movie. Sean looked incredibly confident as he approached her with the cake. Ari grabbed my arm in excitement. Sarah, happy birthday, Sean said. Our families have known each other for a long time, and I think it is time I said something. He held the cake out to her with both hands, a slight blush creeping onto his face. Sarah stopped in her tracks and gave the cake a cold, indifferent look. She made no move to take it from him. Thanks, but some things are better left unsaid, she replied. She walked right past him, leaving Sean standing there with a look of pure shock on his face. Some people in the crowd started snickering, while others looked almost sorry for him. Ari was ecstatic and kept shaking my arm as he tried not to laugh out loud. I knew it. I knew she would shoot him down, Ari whispered. This means I still have a shot with her. But then I noticed something weird. She was heading straight toward me. Sarah had a look of pure anger in her eyes, and it was directed right at me. Ari noticed it too. Morrison, why is Sarah Anderson walking over here? He whispered. What is going on? Mrs. Anderson had told me to wait for her. It seemed like she had sent her daughter to get me. Ari was gripping my arm so hard it was starting to hurt. Dude, let go of me, I muttered. You grab me when you're excited and when you're nervous. If you don't let go, you're going to break my arm. As Sarah got closer, I noticed her ears were bright red. I immediately thought back to the way her mother had grabbed her ear the night before. I wondered if her mom had given her another earful this morning. She looked at me with the same icy stare she had used on Sean. I'm officially inviting you to my house for lunch today, she said. Do you understand? I was stunned for a second before I slowly nodded. Once she saw me agree, she turned away with a hint of awkwardness. She got back in her car and slammed the door. Suddenly, every eye in the crowd was on me. The Ferrari roared to life and sped off onto campus. Ari looked at me with a mix of shock and total respect. What was that about? He asked. Did you actually get with her? Ari looked absolutely heartbroken. I thought we were friends, he said. I can't believe you stole the girl of my dreams. I shut that down immediately. What are you talking about? I asked. I'm just her brother's tutor. Stop making things up. He didn't believe me for a second. He had this goofy, starstruck grin on his face. You are the luckiest guy alive, he said. I guess I should just congratulate the happy couple. Before Ari could finish his daydreaming, Mrs. Anderson called again. Sarah found you, didn't she? She asked. I could hear the pride in her voice. Yes, she just did, I replied. I knew it, she said. You will see that Sarah is a wonderful girl once you get to know her. She's just a little cold sometimes. And you are so quiet and polite, Morrison. I knew you wouldn't ask to go with her on your own. That is why I made her go over and invite you personally. This way, you wouldn't have to feel shy about it. No wonder Sarah's invitation had sounded so forced. Mrs. Anderson, that actually makes me even more nervous, I said. I managed to mutter a quick thank you to her. As soon as I hung up, Ari nudged me. Dude, I think every person on this campus is looking at you right now, he whispered. He was right. The crowd's attention had shifted entirely from Sean to me. Sean was giving me a look that could kill. From an outsider's point of view, it looked like I had just ruined his big moment. It looked like I had just swooped in and stolen the girl right from under his nose. For a second, I actually felt a little bad. I felt a twinge of the shame that usually comes with being the other man. Let's just get out of here. There's nothing left to see, I said to Ari. I grabbed Ari, and we bolted toward our classroom. Once we were far enough away from the crowd, he started up again. His need for gossip was back in full force. You trash-talk Sarah in front of the whole class during that Zoom session, he reminded me. And now you are her brother's tutor. How has she not driven you insane yet? I looked like I was about to burst into tears. Just don't talk about it, okay? I pleaded. I have only had a few sessions with them, and she is already driving me up the wall. You just have to bring that up, don't you? If you hadn't opened your mouth back then, things would be different. Maybe you would have actually had a better shot than Sean. I waved my hands to shut him up. Don't even go there, I said. I know where I stand. But then Ari got surprisingly serious. Why do you act like she's out of your league? He asked. Don't you realize that you are actually a good-looking guy? And it's not like your family is poor. You are actually a good match for the Andersons. You're a lot more genuine than a guy like Sean. And you're way more humble about it. Why do you always put yourself down like this? Ari was the only person who actually knew about my family's background. My family was actually quite wealthy, but only Ari knew the truth. That was because he was the only person I invited to my last birthday party. I listened to his evaluation in silence. I pulled out my phone and scrolled back through my texts with Sarah from last night. My eyes landed on the word babe she had used for me. I felt a sudden pang of sadness in my chest. If she knew who I really was, would she ever call me that again? Or would she just give me that same cold, empty stare she gave Sean? I was staring at the screen when another message from her popped up. Babe, my mom grabbed my ear again this morning. It is literally bright red. She added a sticker of a crying kitten. Are you okay? I asked. What happened? I had actually guessed correctly. Maybe I'm a psychic or something. It's all because of my brother's tutor. She's obsessed with him and got mad at me. I couldn't believe I was getting blamed for this. Then she kept going. She started complaining about me, the real me. I wondered if Sarah had ever actually dated anyone before, who spent all day complaining about another guy to their boyfriend. It was weird that she was venting to her online boyfriend about me. Luckily, I was the one she was venting about. Do you have any idea how stupid this guy is? She wrote. I felt like I'd been hit by a bolt of lightning. Oh, really? How stupid is he? I asked. I was rolling my eyes so hard they almost got stuck. I actually wanted to hear how she would describe my stupidity. My mom made me go pick him up, she said, but that guy with the cake was blocking the entrance. I couldn't even get the car out of the driveway, and that idiot just stood there like a statue. He wouldn't even move onto the campus. Then he went and complained to my mom about me. I had to get out of the car and literally drag him inside. Her face had been so cold earlier, but now here she was venting to me. This girl was a total emotional roller coaster. And besides, I never complained to her mother. Her mother was the one who called me. I suddenly had a great idea to mess with her. "Oh, so guys are still bringing you cakes," I wrote. "You sure are popular. You act like someone who has never been in a relationship before." She didn't respond for a long time. "Yeah, it is my birthday today," she finally said. "Babe, aren't you going to get me a gift?" I realized I had made a mistake. Giving her a gift would mean we had to meet in person. I quickly sent her a $20 Starbucks e-gift card. "There you go," I said. "Hope that makes you smile." Sarah didn't accept the gift card. Instead, she sent me a much larger amount of money. "Babe, take this money and buy me a cake instead," she wrote. "Can you bring it to Ashton University for me? Please." A mischievous grin spread across my face. I accepted the money instantly and then turned my phone completely off. Let's see how she likes being ignored. I had no idea what was coming next. Sean and Sarah walked into the classroom at almost the same time. Neither of them looked particularly happy. They both looked completely dejected. I realized that I was the reason both of them were so miserable. My mood immediately improved. Sarah didn't seem to be especially hostile toward me, though. She didn't know I was the one who just stood her up. Sean, on the other hand, looked like he wanted to kill me. This was a 2-hour block class. Every time I looked up from my notes, I felt his eyes on me. I could see Sean in the front row constantly turning around to glare at me. His eyes were filled with pure hatred. "What are you looking at?" I thought. "You look like a bitter ex-girlfriend." I honestly wanted to punch him right in the face. He stared at me for the entire 2 hours. It was driving me absolutely insane. Finally, the bell rang. I expected him to come over and start something immediately. But 2 minutes passed, and he hadn't moved. He just sat there at his desk, motionless. It was incredibly awkward. I started to think I had imagined the whole thing. He could make fun of me for being poor all he wanted. I didn't care. He wasn't exactly in a position to judge anyone else. I had never been the type to get into a shouting match in the middle of a classroom. I just wanted to get out of there and put this behind me. Maybe my silence made him think he could push me around. He started talking again. What he said next completely destroyed any hope of a peaceful resolution. "Everyone knows your mom is always the one picking you up from school. It's because you don't even have a father, right?" I felt a sharp pang in my chest. I stood up from my chair instantly. I swung my hand and slapped him right across the face. The sound was so loud that the entire room went silent. The pain of losing someone you love is something you eventually learn to live with. But it only works as long as no one comes along and rips the scab off. My father had been a firefighter. My mother was a wealthy woman who loved beautiful and expensive things. My father had been a dedicated fire captain. He had been completely won over by my mother's charm and persistence. My father was on duty the day the factory fire broke out. I didn't find out until much later what had happened. The owner of the factory never told the first responders that there were explosives stored in the warehouse. No amount of money or luxury could hide the grief on my mother's face that day. It was the first time I had ever seen her lose control like that. "You actually hit me," Sean screamed. He lunged at me, ready to fight. I wasn't going to back down. Nobody was going to disrespect my father like that and get away with it. I was going to make him pay for what he said. Suddenly, a warm hand grabbed my wrist. It was Sarah, and she looked absolutely furious. "You're really going to fight him?" she asked. "How are you supposed to be a role model for my brother?" she demanded. I shoved her hand off me. "Mind your own business," I snapped. "What does fighting have to do with anything? My personal life has nothing to do with my tutoring. Don't you dare mention my brother," she said with a look that promised violence. She looked like she would hit me herself if I said another word. Fortunately, Sarah's presence was enough to stop the fight. Sean immediately lost his nerve. He was always trying to act like a perfect gentleman whenever Sarah was around. He went back to his seat the moment she stepped in. Finally, the bell rang for the lunch break. My stomach was growling. I looked over at Sarah's seat, but she was already gone. Damn it, I thought. We were supposed to go to her house together. I felt a little let down as I packed up my books. Suddenly, I felt someone staring at me with pure hostility. It was Sean again. The guy was like a bad smell that just wouldn't go away. Ari noticed it too. Sean and his group of friends were still hanging around the classroom. They clearly weren't looking for a friendly chat. It looked like I was the one in trouble. Since Ari lived in the dorms, I was the only one who actually had to leave the building. Morrison, are you just going to hide in there forever? Sarah asked from the doorway. She looked incredibly impatient. I was just glad she showed up when she did. Morrison, there you are, she said. Come on, let's get going. The food is going to get cold, she complained. I had no idea why she was being so insistent. Mrs. Anderson was being surprisingly friendly for someone who just hired a tutor. Leo was also thrilled to see me again. It seemed like the whole family liked me, except for Sarah. She was the only one who didn't look happy. We sat down for lunch, and after a few minutes, Mrs. Anderson made an announcement. Morrison, we have decided to double your hourly rate, she said. If you're willing to come by in the afternoons and evenings, we will pay you twice as much. Oh, no thank you, Mrs. Anderson. That really isn't necessary, I replied. I couldn't believe she was just doubling my pay like that. She seemed to notice how confused I was. Don't feel bad about it. Just accept it, she said. Leo is incredibly picky when it comes to tutors. We have gone through so many people. You're the first person he has actually connected with. There's another reason as well. You mentioned last night that your mother is in the hospital. I thought you might be able to use the extra money right now. I was so touched by her kindness that I almost teared up. The second reason was definitely the one that mattered. She probably thought my family was struggling with medical bills. She thought I was short on cash. But sometimes it is better to just accept someone's kindness than to reject it. Accepting help can be harder than giving it. A raise was a raise, after all. I decided not to argue. I didn't have any classes this afternoon anyway. It looked like I was going to be spending the whole afternoon at their house. Morrison, do you play video games? Leo asked. Was he serious? Me playing games? Who do you think you're talking to? I joked. My account is literally at the top rank. Leo's eyes went wide. Can you carry me for a few matches then? He asked. I am totally stuck on my promotion series. Well, I was going to be here all afternoon anyway. I didn't see the harm in playing a few games with him. Come on, let's hit online, I said. I carried us to an easy victory. Holy crap, you're amazing, Leo shouted. You are smart, you're great at games, and you're actually cool. You should just marry my sister. His compliments were definitely boosting my ego. All right, let's go again, I said. Suddenly, my phone started ringing. It was my mother. I couldn't believe she was actually calling me. Hey, Morrison, I left a really important document at home, she said. Are you busy right now? Can you bring it over to the hospital for me? It was never anything good with her. Fine, give me a minute, I sighed. I had just gotten a raise, and already I was asking for time off. Mrs. Anderson, I am so sorry, I said. My mother's condition has taken a turn for the worse. I need to get to the hospital right away. Do you want Sarah to drive you? She asked. No thanks, Mrs. Anderson. I could just take an Uber, I replied. I turned to leave the room. Leo was grinning mischievously at his sister. Morrison is way better at that game than you are, he teased. Sarah just rolled her eyes at him. Let me see his stats, she said. Leo held the phone up so she could see. It was a top-tier rank match. 13 kills and 0 deaths. But it wasn't the numbers that caught Sarah's attention. It was my username. It was Ashton_Ferrati. Sarah looked down at her own phone screen. Her username was Ashton_girl. Those were the matching names she and her online boyfriend had come up with together. Sarah's knuckles turned white as she clenched her fists. I finally caught you, she thought to herself. I finally made it to the hospital entrance. I saw a familiar face from across the parking lot. It was Sean Miller. Speak of the devil. He was alone this time, without his usual group of friends. I wasn't really worried about him. I just didn't want to deal with his nonsense right now. I decided to just walk right past him and pretend I didn't see him. As we passed each other, he spoke up. Of course, he had to say something. Oh, so your mom is actually sick, he sneered. I guess karma finally caught up with her. Can you please just shut up for once? I snapped. There were people everywhere, and I didn't want to cause a scene. What are you going to do about it? He asked. Is your dad sick too? I asked. Why else would you be at the hospital? He gave me an arrogant look. My father isn't sick, he said. He is here on a business trip. Oh, so he does business in hospitals, I replied sarcastically. That is certainly a creative place for a meeting. I didn't feel like wasting any more time talking to him. I walked into the hospital room. My mother was talking to a man in a sharp suit. I knocked on the door and walked in. Mom, I have that document you needed, I said. It looked like they were wrapping up their meeting. All right, Mr. Miller, she said. Now that we have agreed on everything, let's sign the papers. Of course, he replied. The man was very polite as he signed the documents. Mom, you have no idea what happened, I started to say. I almost got into a fight at school today. To my surprise, my mother stopped signing and started lecturing me immediately. Why would you ever do that? She asked. That is so dangerous. He was making fun of us for being poor, which I could handle. But then he started talking about my father. I just couldn't let that go. I saw my mother's entire body stiffen. I realized I shouldn't have said that in front of her. It was too late to take it back now. Who is it? She asked. Her voice was quiet, but I knew she was absolutely furious. It was just a silly disagreement between kids, the man said, trying to smooth things over. Mrs. Sullivan, let's just finish signing the contract. Dad, what is taking so long? A voice called out. The three of us looked toward the door. It was Sean Miller. Mr. Miller, I said to myself. So this was his business meeting. This man was Sean's father. Sean looked at me with an expression of pure shock. I looked at my mother and pointed right at him. Mom, that is the guy, I said. I never thought I would be the type to tattle on someone. I guess everyone has a day where they get to be the bad guy. But honestly, it felt amazing. Mr. Miller's face dropped instantly. He looked completely lost for words. My mother didn't say anything at all. She just set her pen down on the desk. Mr. Miller, I think I need to look over this contract again, she said. Something doesn't feel right about it. Let's put this on hold for now. His face twitched as he forced a smile that looked more like a grimace. Mrs. Sullivan, please don't do this. I have already made all the arrangements on my end. My mother didn't respond. Sean, get in here right now, Mr. Miller barked. He was shaking with rage. Sean didn't dare to disobey his father. He glanced nervously at his dad and slinked into the room. A loud smack echoed through the hospital suite. It was a clear, sharp sound. A red handprint began to form on Sean's cheek almost immediately. How many times do I have to tell you? His father shouted. You never learn. You're not to bully your classmates. Sean's eyes filled with tears as they started to fall. He didn't dare to say a word. My mother just watched the scene with a cold, indifferent expression. I was actually enjoying the show. It felt pretty good to be on the other side of things for once. Mr. Miller turned back to my mother. Mrs. Sullivan, is that enough? He asked. It was my son's fault, and I will make sure he is punished accordingly. Any disagreements at school should be handled by the students themselves. He looked like he was desperately hoping she would change her mind. Of course, absolutely, he said. I will have him apologize to Morrison in front of everyone tomorrow. Does that sound fair to you? He looked at me, waiting for my response. I have always been a bit of a pushover. I didn't want to make things even worse. I nodded and said that was fine with me. We can sign the contract tomorrow then, my mother added. Is that going to be an issue? No, not at all, he replied quickly. He left the room looking completely defeated. He dragged his son out of the room with him. As soon as the door closed, I gave my mother a huge hug. Mom, you were incredible, I said. That was so cool. Don't worry, I won't let anyone push you around, she said. Just then, the doctor she was so crazy about walked into the room. He stopped in his tracks when he saw us hugging. Is this your son? He asked. My mother immediately pushed me away. No, this is just my nephew, she claimed. I checked my phone while I was in the Uber on the way back. I scrolled through the messages from Sarah again. She had been blowing up my phone ever since I put it on silent. My inbox was full of her texts. The latest one was from 5 minutes ago. Babe, if I manage to find you on my own, she wrote. Will you give me a kiss and a hug? A kiss and a hug, I thought. I'm literally standing right in front of you, and you have no idea. How do you even plan on finding me? I asked. Sure, whatever you want, I replied. But only if you can actually find me. Fine, just you wait, she sent back. When I got to Sarah's house, Mrs. Anderson was waiting for me. How is she doing? She asked. Is your mother feeling any better today? I almost accidentally said I didn't have a mother anymore. I had to remember that I was supposed to be her nephew now. She's stable for now, I told her, but she's having some emotional issues. Emotional issues are tough, she said with a sigh. Those can be hard to deal with. Sarah was sitting on the couch with her legs crossed when she suddenly stood up. Follow me upstairs, she commanded. I had no idea what was going on. Sarah didn't even acknowledge the confused look on my face. She headed straight for the stairs. I wasn't sure if I was actually supposed to follow her. Morrison, you are back, Leo called out. I'm stuck on one of these problems. Can you come help me with this? He asked from his doorway. I looked toward the stairs and then back at Leo. I decided to just go into Leo's room first. Tutoring was my actual job, after all. Besides, I had a feeling that whatever Sarah wanted wasn't going to be good. It was probably nothing but trouble. So, which one are you having trouble with? I asked Leo. It's this whole chapter on magnetic fields and induction. I was completely speechless. That was going to take forever to explain. Right then, Sarah walked into the room. I turned around, and our eyes met instantly. She looked absolutely miserable. I told you to come to my room, she snapped. What are you doing in here? She asked. I almost rolled my eyes at her. I am sorry, but I am actually here to work, I told her. You are coming to my room first, she insisted. You can help him later. Before I could say anything else, she grabbed my hand. She started pulling me toward the door. Leave Morrison alone, Leo shouted, grabbing my other arm. He tried to pull me back toward him. I was caught right in the middle, completely confused. I had no idea what was happening. It felt like I was being torn in two directions. I know you don't like Morrison, but please, Leo said, looking at her. I really didn't need him to say that right in front of me. I already knew Sarah couldn't stand me. It was still pretty embarrassing to hear it out loud, though. Sarah glared at her brother. As she got closer, I saw how red her ears were. I immediately thought about her mother grabbing her earlier. I wondered if her mother had lost her temper with her again. She was looking at me with that same icy stare she used on Sean Miller. I'm officially inviting you to lunch at my place today, she said. Do you understand? I was stunned for a moment before I gave her a quick nod. She turned away quickly, looking a little embarrassed. She got in and slammed the door shut. Suddenly, I was the center of attention for everyone on campus. The Ferrari sped off with a loud roar. Ari looked at me with a mix of shock and total admiration. What was that about? He asked. Did you actually get with her? Ari looked absolutely crushed. I thought we were friends, but you went and stole the girl of my dreams. I told him to cut it out. You have no idea what you're talking about, I said. I'm just her brother's tutor. Stop being so obsessed with gossip. He didn't believe me for a second. He just had this starstruck look on his face. You are incredibly lucky, he said. I guess I should just congratulate the happy couple. Before Ari could finish his daydream, Mrs. Anderson called me again. Sarah found you, didn't she? She asked. She sounded quite pleased with herself. Yeah, she just did, I replied. I knew it, she said. You will see that Sarah is a wonderful person once you get to know her. She is just a little reserved. And you are so quiet and polite, Morrison. I knew you wouldn't ask to go with her, so I made her go over and invite you herself. That way you wouldn't have to feel shy. It explained why Sarah's invitation had sounded so incredibly awkward. Mrs. Anderson, that actually makes me even more nervous, I admitted. I managed to say thank you before hanging up. Ari poked me the second I put my phone away. Dude, I think every person here is staring at you right now, he whispered. He was right. The entire crowd was now looking at me instead of Sean Miller. Sean was giving me a look that could have killed me. From an outsider's perspective, it looked like I had just stolen his moment. It looked as though I had swooped in and ruined his big romantic gesture. For a split second, I actually felt a little bad. I felt a twinge of guilt for looking like the other man. Let's just get out of here, I said to Ari. I grabbed Ari, and we bolted for the classroom. Once we were away from the crowd, he started up again. He was dying for more information. You were the guy who talked trash about Sarah in front of the entire class on Zoom, he said. And now you are her brother's tutor. How has she not driven you completely insane yet? I looked like I was about to have a breakdown. Just don't talk about it. Okay, I pleaded. I have only had a few sessions with them, and she is already driving me nuts. You just have to bring that up, don't you? If you hadn't opened your mouth back then, things wouldn't be this way. Maybe you would have actually had a better shot than Sean. I waved my hands to shut him up. Don't even go there, I said. I know where I stand. But then Ari got surprisingly serious. Why do you act like she's out of your league? He asked. Don't you realize that you are actually a good-looking guy? And your family has money, too. You are actually a good match for the Andersons. You are a much better person than Sean Miller is. And you are way more humble about it. Why do you always put yourself down? Ari was the only person who actually knew the truth about my family. My family was quite wealthy, but Ari was the only one I had ever told. He was the only one I invited to my last birthday party. I listened to what he had to say. I pulled out my phone and scrolled back through my texts with Sarah from the night before. I saw the word husband in her last message and felt a pang of sadness in my chest. If she knew who I really was, would she ever call me that again? Or would she just give me that same cold, empty stare she gave Sean Miller? I was staring at the screen when another message from her popped up. Babe, my mom grabbed my ear again this morning. It's literally bright red now. She added a sticker of a crying kitten. Are you okay? I asked. What happened? I had actually guessed correctly. Maybe I'm psychic after all. It's all because of my brother's tutor. She's obsessed with him and got mad at me. I couldn't believe I was getting blamed for this. But then she kept going. She started complaining about me, the real me. I wondered if Sarah had ever actually dated anyone before, who spent all day complaining about another guy to their boyfriend. It was weird that she was venting to her online boyfriend about me. Luckily, I was the one she was venting about. Do you have any idea how stupid this guy is? She wrote. I felt like I'd been hit by a bolt of lightning. Oh really, how stupid is he? I asked. I was rolling my eyes so hard they almost got stuck. I actually wanted to hear how she would describe my stupidity. My mom made me go pick him up, she said. But that guy with the cake was blocking the entrance. I couldn't even get the car out. And that idiot just stood there like a statue. He wouldn't even move onto the campus. Then he went and complained to my mom about me. I had to get out and literally drag him inside. Her face had been so cold earlier, but now here she was, venting to me. This girl was a total emotional roller coaster. And besides, I never complained to her mother. I am taking you out in my car tomorrow at noon. We're going to see the most beautiful sunset at the beach. Only a girl who was completely smitten could say something like that with a straight face. If she wanted to be romantic, I might as well play along. That sounds wonderful, babe, I replied. After I put my phone away, I couldn't help but start daydreaming. I wondered what would happen if Sarah found out I was the online boyfriend she was so crazy about. How would she react? She would probably be so angry she would literally explode. The thought actually made me a little excited. This was definitely going to be interesting. Life was getting more and more interesting every day. I eventually fell into a deep, peaceful sleep. I made sure to pick out a nice outfit the next morning. I wanted to look my best. I knew we probably wouldn't actually end up meeting, but I wanted to be prepared. If I was going to play the part, I had to do it right. I headed out for the day. I waited under the old oak tree at the campus entrance at the agreed time. Just as I expected, that familiar red Ferrari pulled up. She was right on time. The window rolled down to reveal Sarah's icy expression. Get in, she snapped. What are you waiting for? I gave her a small smile and hopped into the passenger seat. It was a pretty strange feeling being kidnapped by my own girlfriend like this. She floored the gas and the car sped off toward the coast. Sarah didn't say a word the entire drive. I was perfectly fine with the silence. As I watched the world blur past, I couldn't stop thinking about her. I wondered what was going on in her head. She clearly hated me in person, but online, she was the sweetest person I knew. The contrast was absolutely insane. It was enough to give me a split personality. We finally made it to the beach. The sunset was casting a beautiful golden light across the water. It was absolutely breathtaking. Sarah finally broke the silence. Tell me something, she said. Is that guy Morrison really as annoying as I think he is? I almost choked on my own breath. I couldn't believe she was asking me that to my face. I took a second to clear my throat. I think he's all right, I said. He probably has a lot on his plate. I wanted to see how she would react. She just gave a cold snort in response. A lot on his plate, she mocked. I think he did that on purpose just to humiliate me. I gave a bitter laugh. That really was just a total accident, I thought to herself. But I knew there was no point in trying to explain it now. I decided to just keep my mouth shut. My phone suddenly buzzed with a text message. It was an iMessage. Babe, look, I am at the beach watching the sunset right now, it said. Sarah held her phone up and snapped a picture of the horizon. She sent it to me immediately. My phone lit up inside my pocket. I could feel the screen glowing. The light was incredibly bright in the dark interior of the car. Damn it, I thought. Sarah turned to look at me. Her eyes narrowed in suspicion. Your phone just went off, she noted. My heart started racing, and I could feel a cold sweat coming on. Oh, it was just spam, I lied. These telemarketers are getting out of hand lately. I just made up the first excuse I could think of. I kept my hand on the phone in my pocket, praying it wouldn't make another sound. Sarah didn't say anything else and went back to watching the sunset. I finally allowed myself to breathe again. I had no idea how much longer I could keep this up. It was exhausting. I looked over at Sarah. She looked so soft and beautiful in the warm light of the sunset. I couldn't help but sigh. Oh, Sarah, I thought, if only you were this nice to me in real life. That would be amazing. Sarah seemed to be in a better mood on the drive back to campus. She still looked cold, but her voice wasn't as harsh as before. Morrison, she said suddenly, you should keep tutoring my brother. My mother really likes you. I was a little surprised. Okay, I replied, nodding. She dropped me off at the campus entrance without even saying goodbye. She just floored it and sped away. She was certainly something else. I went back to my room and finally turned my phone back on. My inbox was full of messages from her. Babe, why are you ignoring me? She asked. Was the photo of the sunset not good enough? I had no idea what to even say to that. I just told her I had been in the shower and hadn't seen the message. It was beautiful, I added. Just as beautiful as you are. She immediately sent back a shy emoji. Looking at that cute little sticker made me smile. I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. This double life was getting out of hand. It was exhausting, but I have to admit, it was also a lot of fun. I was actually looking forward to the next tutoring session, and I was looking forward to seeing her again. I was looking forward to our next date. Oh, Sarah. I wondered where all of this was headed. I looked out the window at the stars and thought about the future. I sat there lost in thought for a long time. Life really was like a movie sometimes, and I was the star of the show. I just hoped that the ending would be a happy one. I was really hoping for a happy ending to this story.